Hi, campers. This is Jen and Kait from the future, and we wanted to issue a very big blanket statement that there is a lot of
mentions of torture.
Yes, very graphic and detailed.
Throughout this story, it is important to understand the life of the person who the article is about. And if you're just not in a headspace to listen to that, great blind read. But yeah, there are some points.
Very heavy and dark at some points.
Yeah. So just wanted to issue that trigger warning at the top because we love you guys.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Bye.
continue. Bye.
Welcome back, campers.
That was Caitlin.
And that was Genevieve.
And you have arrived at Camping is Cancelled. It's a blind read today.
Yes, ma'am.
A blind read by an author whom we've already covered 2 of their other articles.
And a very long time ago.
Yes, it was quite a ways back, close to the beginning of the pod, but they were excellent. The author is Mark Bowden. He is a crime journalist who has written many a story, but the 2 in particular we have read was The Body in Room 348 and The Case of the Vanishing Blonde. So I highly, highly recommend you guys go back and check those out. If you like this story, you will for sure want to go back, and his writing style is just personally one of my favorites that we've come across when we've done these blind reads. And if you're new to the pod, just as a brief explanation, a blind read is an article that Caitlin and I find off of a royalty-free website. We do not know anything about the case, anything about the story. We just basically look at the word count, look at the blurb at the top. If it grabs our attention, then we dive in. And everything in the story we are reacting to in real time along with you guys. It's just a like, I like it as a way to give you guys content, but it gives me more time to work on the scripts for some of our bigger cases because we are a small team and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to turn around a script. So,
and like we said last time, Jen was sick for 2 weeks.
Oh my,
so
Jen was trying to die. And sorry, I hate it when people refer to themselves in the third person. Jen was trying to die. But I certainly was.
But yeah, we're gonna do this blind read. And then our next episode will be the Mainline Murders Part 2.
Yes,
so
it absolutely will. Yes, do not lose heart. And it is good. I don't want to toot my own horn, but yeah, it's going to be a good one. A good, juicy episode. I don't think it's going to be a 3-parter. I think I'm going to be able to fit everything in there, but there's a slight chance.
At least maybe a longer episode.
Yeah, but it will for sure be a much longer episode. Yes, it is. It is, but we hope that you find today a treat as well. I'm certainly excited to get into The Sicario, a Juárez Hitman Speaks, written in April 2009 by Charles Bowden. Lights out, campers.
Oh man, the mountains call my number one. I'm just a life-size lottery ticket in the hand of the one.
I am ready for the story of all the dead men who last saw his face. As I drank coffee and tried to frame questions in my mind, a crime reporter in Juárez was cut down beside his 8-year-old daughter as they sat in his car letting it warm up. This morning, as I drove down here, a Toyota passed me with a bumper sticker that read, with a heart symbol, "I love love." This morning, I tried to remember how I got to this rendezvous. I was in a distant city and a man told me of the killer and how he had hidden him. He said at first he feared him, but he was so useful. He would clean everything and cook all the time and get on his hands and knees and polish his shoes. I took him on as a favor, he explained. I said, I want him. I want to put him on paper. And so I came. The man I wait for insists, "You don't know me. No one can forgive me for what I did." He has pride in his hard work. The good killers make a very tight pattern through the driver's door. They do not spray rounds everywhere in the vehicle. No, they make a tight pattern right through the door and into the driver's chest. The reporter who died received just such a pattern, 10 rounds from a 9mm, and not a single bullet came near his 8-year-old daughter. I wait. I admire craftsmanship. The first call comes at 9 o'clock and says to expect the next call at 10:05. So I drive 50 miles and wait. The call at 10:05 says to wait until 11:30. The call at 11:30 does not come, and so I wait and wait. Next door is a game store frequented by men seeking power over a virtual world. Inside the coffee shop, it is all calculated, calm, and everything is clean. I am in the safe country. I will not name the city, but it is far from Juárez, and it is down by the river. At noon, the next call comes. We meet in a parking lot. Our cars conjoin like cops, with driver next to driver. I hand over some photographs. He quickly glances at them and then tells me to go to a pizza parlor. There, he says we must find a quiet place because he talks very loudly. I rent a motel room with him. None of this can be arranged ahead of time because that would allow me to set him up. He glances at the photographs, images never printed in newspapers. He stabs his finger at a guy standing over a half-exposed body in a grave and says, "This picture can get you killed." I show him the photograph of the woman. She is lovely in her white clothes and perfect makeup. Blood trickles from her mouth, and in the early morning light caresses her face. The photograph has a history in my life. Once I placed it in a magazine, and the editor there had to field a call from a terrified man, her brother, who asked, "Are you trying to get me killed? To get my family killed?" I remember the editor calling me up and asking me what I thought that guy meant. I answered exactly what he said. Now the man looks at her and tells me she was the girlfriend of the head of the Sicarios in Juárez, and the guys in charge of the cartel thought she talked too much. Not that she'd ever given up a load or anything, it was simply the fact that she talked too much. So they told her boyfriend to kill her, and he did. Or he would die. This is ancient ground. The term Sicario goes back to Roman Palestine, where a Jewish sect, the Sicari, used concealed daggers in their murders of Romans and their supporters. He leans forward. Amado and Vicente, the two brothers who have successfully headed the Juárez cartel, could kill you if they even thought you were talking, he says. These photographs can get you killed. Words can get you killed, and all this will happen and you will die, and the sentence will never have a subject, simply an object falling dead to the ground. I feel myself falling down into some kind of well, some dark place that hums beneath the workaday city, and in this place there is a harder reality and absolute facts. I have been living, I think, in a kind of fantasy world of laws and theories and logical events. Now I am in a country where people are murdered on a whim, and a beautiful woman is found in the dirt with blood trickling from her mouth, and then she is wrapped with explanations that have no actual connection to what happened. I have spent years getting to this moment. The killers, well, I have been around them before. Once I partied with 200 armed killers in a Mexican hotel for 5 days, but they were not interested in talking about their murders. He is... Holy shit, Caitlin.
I don't know if I want to keep reading.
Oh.
In fear of talking too much.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this article was published in 2009. We're fine. 200 armed killers in a Mexican hotel for 5 days.
Honestly, that sounds like hell. Like just partying
Lord
with
have
200
mercy.
people.
Now,
And for 5 days.
that is a journalist. I will say that. That is truly a journalist.
Oh my.
The one who believes that to put you inside the head of their subject matter, they have to basically be alongside their subject matter.
This also, to segue just a little, takes me back to the time Jacob and I went on a cruise.
Yeah.
And one of our stops was Cozumel in Mexico. And we were just walking, and we were walking to Senior Frogs, which was just a bar. And on the newsstand on the road, multiple newspapers with a full-blown body. Like, biggest picture I've ever seen. I was just like, let's go back to the boat.
Yeah, the Hispanic news stations do not give a flying F about what they show. And there's been a few times where I've accidentally turned on my in-laws' TV. It was back when my mother-in-law was really practicing her Spanish, and she would just put on the Spanish news in the background, which great way to like, you know, hear
Yeah.
conversational Spanish and like practice. But yeah, they would just show cell phone footage of people observing people getting mowed down in the street and stabbed and stuff, and it was just there. And yeah.
I had to click on a weird link in like a Webkins page as a kid to see that shit.
Caitlin.
They just
on a
get, like,
Webkins page.
No, like genuinely you would just be on like some game website, and then like a random thing would pop up and you'd click it and you would see somebody getting their head blown off executional style.
God.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It just feels like things that we shouldn't be seeing, but also it's happening in areas surrounded by people. So you can make a case for both sides, but just being exposed to that much violence all the time.
It just like gives more, not credit, but like it just makes more sense that this guy is just interviewing a killer.
Yeah.
And it's treated different than here.
Yeah. And I do
like it's not a killer behind bars.
No. And I have that respect for a culture that is not my own, that I don't understand, but also there is kind of an ownership to and showing what's really going on and not just pretending that it doesn't happen. Because in a lot of ways, when you have cartels and people who are these like, you know, not government following or law abiding entities, a lot of times the only way you kind of can feel like you have power is by showing what's happening.
I mean, because it is knowledge.
Yeah, instead of just sweeping it under the rug. So I mean,
but
I
it's
do
still
get it.
very shocking.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, seeing somebody get killed should never not be shocking.
Very true. So we continue. We will never see him coming. He is of average height. He dresses like a workman with sturdy boots and a knit cap. If he stood next to you in a checkout line, you would be unable to describe him 5 minutes later. Nothing about him draws attention. Nothing. He has very thick fingers and large hands. His face expressionless. His voice loud but flat. He lives beneath notice. That is part of how he kills. He says, Juárez is a cemetery. I have dug the graves for 250 bodies.
Whoa.
Are you rounding up or down?
Yeah.
I nod because I know what he means. The dead, the 250 corpses, are details. People he disappeared and put in holes in death houses. The city is studded with the secret tombs. Just today, the authorities discovered a skeleton. From the rotted clothing, the experts peg the bones to be those of a 25-year-old man. He is one of a legion of dead hidden in Juárez. That is why I am here. I have spent 20 years now waiting for this moment and trying to avoid being buried in some hole. At that party long ago with the 200 gunmen, a Mexican federal cop wanted to kill me. He was stopped by the host, and so I continued on with my tattered life. But I have come to this room so that I can bring out my dead, the thousands who have been cut down on my watch. I have published 2 books on the slaughter of the city, reporting there from 1995, when murder in Juárez ran at 200 to 300 a year, until 2008, when 1,607 people were killed.
God.
And that is only the official tally. No one really keeps track of who are taken and never heard from again. I am a prisoner of all of this killing. We sit with a translator at a round wooden table, drapes closed. He says, "Everything I say stays in this room." I nod and continue making notes. This is how it begins. Nothing is to leave the room, even though I am making notes, and he knows I will publish what he says because I tell him that. We are entering a place neither of us knows. I can never repeat what he tells me, even though I tell him I will repeat it. Nothing must leave the room, even though he watches me write his words down in a black notebook. I do not even know his name, nor can I verify the particulars of what he tells me. But this killer has come to me with a pedigree, established through the hands that delivered him to me. A man who once used him, a formal cartel member and leading state policeman who now has produced him as a favor. He tells me to feel the tricep on his right arm. It hangs down like a tire. Now he says, "Feel my left arm." There is nothing there. Is he talking about like muscles from pulling a trigger or something?
I think maybe it just means that his right arm is like incredibly strong, and then his
okay.
left arm is just like me. That's what I'm getting.
Well, let's continue.
Yeah.
He stands, puts a chokehold on me. He can snap my neck like a twig. Then he sits down again. I ask him how much he would charge to kill me. He gives me a cool appraisal and says, at the most, $5,000. Probably less. You are powerless and you have no connections to power. No one would come after me if I killed you. We were ready to begin.
That's a nice note
My
to start
man
on.
better be in a depend. Like,
I was literally about to say I would have to be in an adult diaper. The second he put his arm around my neck, I was like, I could snap your neck right now. I'd be like,
and then just casually sits back down. That was just a little snippet of what could happen, babe.
oh, Lord. And then he's like, and nobody would care if I killed you.
It's like, no one will hear. I won't tell anyone.
I promise.
Doodle doodle.
But
doodle,
also,
doodle.
I'm going to publish everything you say.
Okay, gosh.
And we're going to keep reading it. I ask him how he became a killer. He smiles and says, "My arm grew." He takes a sheet of paper, draws 5 vertical lines, and writes in the spaces in black ink. Childhood, police, narco, God. The 4 phases of his life. Then he scratches out what he has written until there is nothing but solid ink on the page. He cannot leave tracks. He cannot quite give up the habits of a lifetime. I reach for the paper, but he snatches it back and laughs, I think, at both of us. When I believed in the Lord, he says, I ran from the dead. I had a normal childhood, he insists. He will not tolerate the easy explanation that he is the product of abuse. We were very poor, very needy, he continues. We came to the border from the south to survive. My people went into the maquilas. I went to a university. I didn't have a father who treated me badly. My father worked, a working man. He started at the maquila at 6 p.m. and worked until 6 a.m., 6 days a week. The rest of the time, he was sleeping. My mother had to be both father and mother. She cleaned houses in El Paso 3 days a week. There were 12 children to feed. He pauses here to see if I understand. He will not be a victim, not of poverty, not of parents. He became a killer because it was a way to live, not because of trauma. His eyes are clear and intelligent and cold. Oh, Caitlin, I just want to take a moment to point out here the interestingness of this, that pretty much every killer that we have talked about, I think, vastly trauma has contributed to making them who they are. Sometimes they're just a bad seed, but in the vast majority of cases, there is some sort, especially serial killers, there's very serious trauma that contributes. But
I can't see a single person that we have covered, at least I can't think off the top of my head, can't see any of them sitting there and admitting that they will not be a victim of anything and that they are a killer because it was an option.
Right.
And not like an option like I can hurt people, so I'm gonna hurt people.
Like
but like
Israel Keys.
Yeah, but like, and maybe it's like, again, the culture.
Him saying it was a way to live, as in it was a way for him to make a living.
And he's not sitting there confessing his sins for like forgiveness.
Yeah.
Or like boasting about it.
He's just stating,
this is my job.
The facts.
Here you go.
Yep. So once, he says, my father took me and 3 of my brothers to the circus. We brought our own chilies and cookies so we did not have to spend money. That was the happiest day of my life and the only time I went somewhere with my father. But now we turn to the time he worked for the devil. He is in high school when the state police recruit him and his friends. They get $50 to drive cars across the bridge to El Paso, where they park them and walk away. They never know what is in the cars, nor do they ever ask. After the delivery, they are taken to a motel where cocaine and women are always available. High school. Fantastic. He drops out of the university because he has no money. And then the police dip into his set of friends who have been moving drugs for them to El Paso and send them to the police academy. In his own case, because he is only 17, the mayor of Juárez has to intervene to get him into the academy.
This is grooming.
Oh, yeah. Well, it just shows you how this corrupt police force just blooms and blossoms and continues to get bigger. Because it's exactly that. Yeah, you're just grooming kids to be brought into the fold.
Good Lord.
We were paid about 150 pesos a month as cadets, he says, but we got a bonus of $1,000 a month that came from El Paso. Every day, liquor and drugs came to the academy for parties. Each weekend, we bribed the guards and went to El Paso. I was sent to the FBI school in the United States and taught how to detect drugs, guns, and stolen vehicles. The training was very good.
Babe, what do you mean detect? You are. Like,
you are drugs.
You already, like...
Oh my God.
What?
I think, too, that part of that is that you learn the inner workings of your opponent's system. So if you know how they go about identifying stuff, then you're one step ahead. That's actually brilliant.
Good
That's
Lord.
messed up, but brilliant.
I mean, you can give dues where they're due, you know?
I know, right? After graduation, no one in the various departments really wanted him because he was too young, but U.S. law enforcement insisted he be given a command position, and so he was. I commanded 8 people, he continues. 2 were honest and good. The other 6 were into drugs and kidnapping. 2 units of the state police in Juárez specialized in kidnapping, and his was one such unit. The official assignment of both units was to stop kidnapping. In reality, one unit would kidnap the person and then hand the victim over to the other unit to be killed, a procedure less time-consuming than guarding the victim until the ransom was paid. Sometimes they would feign discovering the body a few days after the abduction. That was the orderly Juárez he once knew. Then in July 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, the head of the Juárez cartel, died. This was an earthquake. Order broke down. The payments to the state police from an account in the United States ended, and each unit had to fend for itself. I have no real idea how and when I became a Sicario, he says. At first, I picked up people and handed them over to killers. And then, my arm began to grow because I strangled people. I could earn $20,000 a killing. Before Carrillo's death, cocaine was not easy for him to get in Juárez because if you cut open a kilo, you died. So he and his crew would cross the bridge to El Paso and score. He is by now running a crew of kidnappers and killers. He is working for a cartel that stores tons of cocaine in Juárez warehouses, and he must enter the United States to get his drugs. That changed after Carrillo's death. Soon he was deep into cocaine, amphetamines, and liquor, and would stay awake for a week. He also acquired his skill set: strangulation, killing with a knife, killing with a gun, car-to-car barrages, torture, kidnapping, and simply disappearing people and burying them in holes. He mentions the case of Victor Manuel Oropeza, a doctor who wrote a column for the newspaper. He linked the police and the drug world. He was knifed to death in his office in 1991. The people who killed him taught me, Sicarios are not born, they are made. He became a new man in a new world. I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
If my eyes could pop out of my head. My jaw literally locked at one point from me dropping it.
Listing off his killing specialties was like a drug
Like
commercial.
his McDonald order?
Like a drug commercial listing off the side effects. Our anti-anxiety medication
may cause
suffocation, strangulation, thoughts of self-harm, aggressive
disappearing
diarrhea.
people.
Disappearing into a hole. Okay.
I'm rethinking my Mexican vacation.
You're not going to real Mexico. You're going to white people Mexico.
I really am, yeah. What the In the eyes of the U.S. government, the Mexican drug industry is very organized. Its cartels structured like corporations, perhaps with periodic meetings. But on the grounds with the Sicario, there is no structure. He kills all over Mexico. He works with various groups, but he never knows how things are linked. He never meets the people in charge, and he never asks any questions. And so he visits the various outposts of this underground empire, but he does so without any map and with no directory of the management. He is in a cell and can betray only the handful of people in his cell. He will never even be certain which cartel organization pays him. I'm too nosy. I'd be like,
Where
now
does
who's
come
signing my
from?
paycheck?
Who's this bag from?
Who's my coworkers? What are they doing? Is this like a type C person? This is a type A or type B.
I honestly don't have this guy figured out.
I can't put him into a box. Whew. He tells me of a leader, a deputy of Vicente Carrillo Fuentes, the current head of the Juárez cartel, a man full of hate, a man who even hates his own family. He would cut up a baby in front of the father in order to make the father talk. I never want to read that sentence again in my life.
No. What about the we don't touch
Children, innocence?
And yeah, maybe that's just a Sopranos thing.
No,
I don't
that's
know.
not their thing.
Ooh.
We don't have the Sicario handbook.
I don't like that.
The girlfriend did get killed for talking too much.
Oh, right. Because she just talked too much. She didn't even say anything. She just, they're like, you talk too much, dead.
Y'all can't break up?
Yeah, right. Oh, God.
Okay. He says the man is a beast. He is drifting now, going back in time to a place he has left, the killing ground where he would slaughter and then drop $5,000 in a single evening. He remembers when outsiders would try to move into Juárez and commander the plaza, the crossing. For a while, the organization killed them and hung them upside down. Then, for a spell, they offered Colombian neckties. Graphic, guys. The throat cut, tongue dangling through the slit. There was a spate of necklacing, the burned body found with the charred stub where the head had been. The metal cords of the tire simply blackened hoops embracing the corpse. He has lived like a god and been the destroyer of worlds. The room is still, so very still. The television a blank eye. The wall sedated with beige, the exhaust fan purring. His arms at rest on the wood table. Everything solid and calm. Not like this man's heartbeat, I'm sure.
No.
But his face is fear. Not fear of me, but something neither of us can define. A death machine with no apparent driver. There is no headquarters for him to avoid. No boss to keep an eye peeled for. He has been green-lighted, and now anyone who knows of the contract can kill him on sight and collect the money. The name of his killer is Legion.
Oh, when he says that, the name of his killer is Legion, that's a biblical reference referring to, remember the story when Jesus drives the demons into the pigs because there's the man in the cave, and Jesus asks what the demon is called, and the demon says, "We're Legion, for we are many." And so the name of his killer is Legion means that his killer could be anyone. It could be any of many people.
Every time I hear that story, that biblical story, I think of House of Blythe Manor.
Yes, yes. And where the little boy questions, why was that fair to the pigs?
Yeah.
Because they didn't do anything wrong. And the
The
father
nun or
is just
whatever,
like,
yeah.
that's a really good question and I don't have an answer for you.
And then it was just creepy.
Then it was creepy. But yeah.
Ooh.
Damn. Ooh, my little writer self loves that. The name of his killer is Legion.
He can hide, but that only buys a little time, and he has allowed only one serious mistake, and then he is dead. His hunters can be patient. He is like a winning lottery ticket, and one day they will collect. The death machine careened through the streets, guns at the ready, always rolling, no real route, randomly prowling and looking for fresh blood. The day comes and goes, and 10 die. Or more. No one can really keep count any longer, and besides, some of the bodies simply vanish and cannot be tallied. He stares at me. He says, I want to talk about God. I say, we'll get to that. Continue.
I would be like, yes, sir, whatever you want to talk about, sir.
Like, shut up, get back to the patrolling.
Oh, God.
He is the killer, and he does not know who is in charge. Just as he usually did not know the reason for the murders he committed. He will die. Someone will kill him. No one will really notice.
No place is safe. He knows that fact. A family in the States owed some money on a deal, so a 14-year-old son and his friend were snatched and taken back over. The man killed them with a broken bottle, then drank a glass of their blood. He knows things like that. Because of what he has done, he knows that crossing the bridge is easy because he has crossed it so many times. He knows all the searches and all the security claims at the border are a joke because he has moved with his weapons back and forth. He knows that everything has been penetrated, that nothing can be trusted, not even the solid feel of the wooden table. The rough edge of burning wood fires at those shacks of the poor, the acrid smell of burned powder flowing from a spent brass cartridge, an old copper kettle with oil boiling and fresh pork swirling into the crispness of carnitas, the caravan of cars passing in the night, windows tinted, and then the entire procession turns and comes by again, and you look, but you do not stare, because if they pause, however briefly, they will take you with them to the death that waits, the holes being dug each morning in the brown dirt of the Campo Santo, the graves a guess and a promise gaping up like hungry mouths for the kills of the morning and afternoon and evening. And 4 people sit outside their house at night, and the cars come by, the bullets bark, 2 die soon after the barrage, and the other 2 are scooped up by family who drive them from hospital to hospital through the dark houses because no healers will take them in. The killers have a way of following their prey into the emergency rooms in order to finish the work. His arms are on the wooden table as Juárez wafts across our faces, and we do not speak of this fact. I cannot explain the draw of the city that gives death but makes everyone feel life, nor can he. So we do not speak, but simply note this fact with our silence. We are both trying to return to some person we imagine we once were, the person before the killings, before the torture, before the fear. He wants to live without the power of life and death, and wonders if he can endure being without the money. I want to obliterate memory, to be in a world where I do not know of Sicarios and think of dinner and not of fresh corpses decorating the calles. We have followed different paths and wound up in the same plaza, and now we sit and talk and wonder how we will ever get home. I crossed the river about 20 years ago. I can't be exact about the date because I am still not sure what crossing really means, except that you never come back. I just know I crossed, and now I stumble on some distant shore. It is like killing. I ask him, "Tell me about your first killing." And he says he can't remember, and I know that he is not telling the truth, and I know that he is not lying. Sometimes you cannot reach it. You open that drawer, and your hand is paralyzed and you cannot reach it. It is right in front of you, but still, you cannot reach it. And so you say you don't remember. He has a green pen, a notebook. He has printouts from the internet, mainly things about me. He has spent 10 hours researching me, he says. Like so many pilgrims, he is in the market for a witness who can understand his life. He has decided I will suffice. He is at ease now. Before, his body was hunched over, shoulders looming, those trained and talented hands. He wore a skull cap that hid his hair, and he seldom smiled. Now he is a different person, a man who laughs, his body almost fluid, his eyes no longer dead black coals, but beaming and dancing as he speaks. We are not monsters, he explains. We have education, we have feelings. I would leave torturing someone, go home and have dinner with my family, and then return. You shut off parts of your mind. It is a kind of work. You follow orders. For some time, his past life has been dead to him, something he shut off. But now it is back. He thinks God has sent me to convey his lessons to others. Like all of us, he wants his life to have meaning, and I am to write it down and send it out into the world. Of course, he must be careful. When he left the life 2 years ago, the organization put a $250,000 contract on his life. He does not know what the contract currently is, but it is unlikely to be lower. At the moment, God is protecting him and his family, he knows this, but still, he must be careful. I don't do bad things anymore, he says, but I can't stop being careful. It is a habit I have. That's how I ensure security for myself. They killed me twice, you know. And he lifts his shirt to show me 2 groupings of bullet holes in his belly from separate times when he took rounds from an AK-47. I was in a coma for a while, he continues. I weighed 290 pounds when I went into the hospital, a narco hospital, and I shrank to 120 pounds. It was all a mistake. The organization believed he had leaked information on the killing of a newspaper columnist, but it turned out the actual informant had been the guy paid to tap phones. So he was killed, and they apologized to me and paid for a month's vacation in Mossett Lawn with women, drugs, and liquor. I was about 24 then. He sips his coffee. He is ready to begin.
He notes that when I asked him earlier about his first killing, he said he couldn't really remember because he used so much cocaine and drank so much alcohol back then. That was a lie. He remembers quite well. The first person I killed, well, we were state policemen doing a patrol, he says. They called my partner on his cell phone and told him the person we were looking for was in a mall. So we went and got him and put him in the car. 2 guys get in the car, identify the target, and leave. They are the people paying for the murder.
Oh my god.
A picture wouldn't suffice?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, if I was the victim, please make sure, like...
Please make sure it's me.
Oh my god.
I don't photograph well. Please make sure it's me.
Make the left side at least, my good side. Like, I don't...
This is so dark. The police, the state police. I mean, I'm not surprised because...
I'll wait until the end is safe.
Okay.
But, he and his partner used the police code for a homicide. When the number 39 is spoken, it means to kill the person. The guy they have picked up has lost 10 kilos of cocaine, drugs that belong to the other 2 men. His partner drives and gets in the back with the victim. The target says that he gave the drugs to someone else. At the moment his partner says 39, and so he instantly kills him. It was like automatic, he explains. They drive around for hours with the body and they drink. Finally, they go to an industrial park, pry off a manhole, and throw the body in the sewer. For his work, he gets an ounce of coke, a bottle of whiskey, and $1,000.
Oh my god.
They told me I had passed the test. I was 18. He checks into a hotel and does cocaine and drinks for 4 days. The state police didn't care if you were drunk. If you really wanted to be left alone, you gave the dispatcher 100 pesos and then they would not call you at all, he says. After this baptism, he moves into kidnapping and enters a new world. Soon he is traveling all over Mexico. He is working for the police, but whenever an assignment comes up, he simply gets leave. A few of the kidnappings he participates in are merely snatches for ransom, but hundreds of others have a different goal. They would say, take this guy. He lost 200 kilos of marijuana and didn't pay. I would pick him up in my police car. I would drop him off at a safe house. A few hours later, I would get a call that said there was a dead body to get rid of. This was at the start of my career. After I passed my test, for about 3 years, I traveled all over Mexico. Once I even went to Quintana Roo. I always had an official police car. Sometimes we used planes, but usually we drove. We got through military checkpoints by showing an official document that said we were transporting a prisoner. The document would have a fake case number. There's so much actual thought out procedures in the whole thing's corrupt. So
yeah,
why even?
In the police system, I was not expecting the depth to which this is integrated into the police system, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised because we hear that all the time, how police corruption, blah, blah, blah. But here we're getting firsthand how systematic and detailed it actually was. We're not talking about 1 out of every 20 cops is dirty or whatever. It's baked into their entire system.
They have a number for killing somebody.
Good Lord.
He becomes a tour guide to an alternate Mexico, a place where citizens are transported from safe house to safe house without any records left for courts and agencies. When he arrives someplace, the person has already been kidnapped. He simply picks him up for shipment. Controlling them was easy because they were terrified. When they saw that it was an official car, and when I said, "Don't worry, everything will be fine. You'll be back with your family. If you don't cooperate, we'll drug you and put you in the trunk, and I can't guarantee then that you'll see the end of the journey." The drive is fueled by coke. He and his partner always dress well for such work. They get 5 or 6 new suits from the organization every few months. They are seldom home, but seem to live in various safe houses and are supplied with food and drugs. But no women. This is all business.
Oh, of course.
Y'all can get your own hours.
No time for women. This is all business. They hardly ever do police work. They are working full-time for narcos. This is his real home for almost 20 years. A second Mexico that does not exist officially and that coexists seamlessly with the government. And his many transports of human beings to bondage, torture, and death, he is never interfered with by the authorities. He is part of the government, the state policeman with 8 men under his command. But his key employer is the organization, which he assumes is the Juárez cartel, but he never asks since questions can be fatal. They give him a salary, a house, a car, and standing. He estimates that 85% of the police worked for the organization, but even on a clear day, he could barely glimpse the cartel that employed him. He is in a cell, and above him is a boss, and above that boss is a region of power he never visits or knows. He also estimates that out of every 100 human beings he transports, maybe 2 make it back to their former lives. The rest die. Slowly. Very slowly. In each safe house, there would be anywhere from 5 to 15 kidnapped victims. They wore blindfolds all the time, and if their blindfolds slipped, they were killed. At times, they would be put in a chair facing a television, their eyes would be briefly uncovered, and they would watch videos of their children going to school, their wives shopping, the family at church. They would see the world they had left behind, and they would know this world would vanish, be destroyed, if they did not come through with the money. The neighbors never complained about the safe houses. They would see all the police cars parked in front and remain silent. They might owe $1 million, but when the work was finished, they would pay everything, their entire fortunes, and maybe, just maybe, the wife would be left with a house and a car. People would be held for up to 2 years. They were beaten after they were fed, and so they learned to associate food with pain. Once in a great while, the order would come down to release a prisoner. They would be taken to a park blindfolded, told to count to 50 before they opened their eyes. Even at this moment of freedom, they would weep because they no longer believed it possible for them to be released, and still they expected to be murdered. Sometimes, he says, prisoners who had been held for months would be allowed to remove the blindfold so they could clean the safe house. After a while, they began to think they were part of the organization, and they identified with the guards who beat them. They would even make up songs about their experiences as prisoners, and they would tell us of all the fine things they would make sure we got when they were released. Sometimes, after beating them badly, we would send their families videos of them, and they would be pleading, saying, "Give them everything." And then the order would come down, and they would be killed. Payment to the organization would always be made in a different city from where the prisoner was held. Everything in the organization was compartmentalized. Often he would stay in a safe house for weeks and never speak to a prisoner or know who they were. It did not matter. They were products, and he was a worker following orders. No matter how much the family paid, the prisoner almost always died. When the family had been sucked dry of money, the prisoner had no value, and besides, he could betray the organization, so death was logical and inevitable. He pauses in his account. He wants it understood that he is now similar to the prisoners he tortured and killed. He is outside the organization. He is a threat to the organization, and everyone who is no longer of use to the boss dies. He is now the floating man, remembering when he was firmly anchored in his world.
I want it understood, he says, that I had feelings when I was in the torture houses and people would be lying in their vomit and blood. I was not permitted to help them. He is calm as he says this. He alternates between asserting his humanity and explaining how he maintained a professional demeanor while he kidnapped, tortured, and killed people. He says he is feared now because he believes in God. Then he says he could make a good grouping on the target with his AK-47 at 800 yards. He would practice at military bases and police academies. He could get in using his police badge. The work, he insists, is not for amateurs. Take torture. You must know just how far to go. Even if you intend to kill the person in the end, you must proceed carefully in order to get the necessary information. They are so afraid, he explains. They are usually cooperative. Sometimes when they realize what is going to happen to them, they become aggressive. Then you take their shoes away, soak their clothes, and put a hot wire to each foot for 15 seconds. Then they understand that you are in charge and that you are going to get the information. You can't beat them too much because then they become insensitive to pain. I have seen people beaten so badly that you could pull out their fingernails with pliers and they wouldn't feel it. You handcuff them behind their backs, sit them in a chair facing a 100-watt bulb, and you ask them questions about their jobs, number and age of children, all the things you have reached and know the answer to. Every time they lie, you give them a jolt from an electric cattle prod. Once they realize they can't lie, you start asking them the real questions. How many loads have they moved to the US? Who do they work for? And if they are not paying your boss, well, why? They will try by this point to answer everything. Then we beat them and let them rest. We show them those videos of their family. At this point, they will give up anything we ask for and even more. Now you have the advantage, and you use this new information to hit warehouses and steal loads, to round up other people they work with, and then you video their families and begin the process again. You know the families will not likely go to the police because they know the guy is in a bad business. But if they do tell the police, we instantly know because we work with the police. We're part of the anti-kidnapping unit. Sometimes the people kidnapped are killed instantly because after we take their jewelry and cars, they are worthless. Such goods are divided up within the unit among 5 to 8 people. The hardest thing is when you kill them because then you must dig a hole to bury them. There are 2 mistakes most people make. They don't pay whoever controls the plaza, the city, or they dreamed of being bigger than the boss. But none of this really matters because he never asks why people are kidnapped, nor who they really are. They are simply product, and he is simply a worker. Their screams are simply the background noise to the task at hand. Just as calming them or transporting them is simply part of the job.
God. There is a second category of kidnapping, one he finds almost embarrassing. Someone's wife is having an affair with her personal trainer, so you pick up the trainer and kill him. Or a guy has a hot woman and some other guy wants her, so you kill the boyfriend to get the woman for him. What? Oh my God. I received my orders, he says, and I had to kill them. The bosses didn't know what the limits were. If they want a woman, they get her. If they want a car, they get it. They have no limits. He resents people who like to kill. They are not professional. Real Sicarios kill for money. But there are people who kill for fun. People will say, I haven't killed anyone for a week, so they'll go out and kill someone. This kind of person does not belong in organized crime. They're crazy. If you discover such a person in your unit, you kill them. The people you really want to recruit are police or ex-police, trained killers. Oh boy, I'm just not going to touch on the irony here, but
It's blatant.
let's just keep going. All this is a sore point for him. The slaughter now going on in Juárez offends him because too many of the killings are done by amateurs, by kids imitating Sicarios. He is appalled by the number of bullets used in a single execution. It shows a lack of training and skill. In a real hit, the burst goes right where the lock is on the door because such rounds will penetrate the driver's torso with a killing shot. Twice he was stymied by armored vehicles, but the solution is a burst of full-jacketed rounds in a tight pattern. This will gouge through the armor. A hit should take no more than a minute. Even his hardest jobs against armored cars took under 3 minutes. A real Sicario, he notes, does not kill women or children, unless the women are informants for the DEA or the FBI. Here, he must show me. A proper execution requires planning. First, the eyes study the target for days, usually at least a week. His schedule at home is noted. When he gets up, when he leaves for work, when he comes home, everything about his routines in his domestic life is recorded by the eyes. Then the mind takes over. He studies the man's habits in the city itself, his day at work, where he lunches, where he drinks, how often he visits his mistress and where she lives, and what her habits are. Between the eyes and the mind, a portrait is possible. Now there is a meeting of the crew, which is 6 to 8 people. There will be 2 police cars with officers and 2 other cars with Sicarios. A street will be selected for the hit, one that can easily be blocked off. Timing will be carefully worked out, and the hit will take place within a half-dozen blocks of a safe house, an easy matter since there are so many in the city. He picks up a pen and starts drawing. The lead car will be police. Then will come a car full of Sicarios. Then the car driven by the target. This is followed by another car of Sicarios, and then, bringing up the rear, another police car. During the execution, the eyes will watch and the mind will man the radios. When the target enters the block selected for the murder, the lead police car will pivot and block the street. The first Sicario will slow. The second car of Sicarios behind the target will pull up beside him and shoot him. The final police car will block the end of the street. All this should take less than 30 seconds. One man will give out and give a coup de grace to the bullet-riddled victim. Then all will disperse. The car with the killers will go to the safe house and leave their vehicle in a garage. It will be taken to a garage owned by the organization, repainted, and then sold on one of the organization's lots. The killers themselves will pick up a clean car at the safe house, and often they return to the scene of the murder to see that everything has gone well. He sketches this with exactness, each rectangle neatly drawn to delineate a car, and the target's car is filled in and blooms on the page with green ink. Arrows indicate how each vehicle will move. It is like an equation on a chalkboard.
He leans back from his toil, and on his face is almost the look of a job well done. This is how a real Sicario performs his work. In the ideal hit, no target is left alive. Should any in the group be injured, they go to one of the organization's hospital. If you can buy a governor, you can buy a hospital. I never knew the names of the people I was involved with, he continues. There was a person who directed our group, and he knew everything. But if your job is to execute people, that is all you do. You don't know the reasons or names. I would be in a safe house with the kidnapped for a month and never speak to them. Then, if I was told to kill them, I would. We would take them to the place where they would be killed, take off their clothes. We would kill them exactly the way we were ordered, a bullet to the neck, acid on the bodies. There would be cases where you would be killing someone, strangling them, and they would stop breathing, and you would get a call. Don't kill them. And so you would have to know how to resuscitate them, or we would be killed because the boss never makes a mistake.
Oh my God.
Everything is contained and sealed. For a while, they used crazy kids to steal cars for the work, but the kids, about 40 of them, got too arrogant, talking and selling drugs in the nightclubs. This violated an agreement with the governor of Chihuahua to keep the city quiet. So one night, around 10 years ago, 50 police and 150 guys from the organization who were there to ensure the job was done rounded up all the kids on Avenida Juárez. They were not tortured. They were killed with a single headshot and buried in one hole. No, he smiles at me. I will not tell you where that hole is. He has trouble remembering some things. I would get up in the morning and do a line, he explains, then have a glass of whiskey. Then I would go to lunch. I would never sleep more than a few hours, little naps. It is hard to sleep during a time of war. Even if my eyes were closed, I was alert. I slept with a loaded AK-47 on one side and a .38 on the other. The safeties were always off.
What a beyond stressful way to live.
Like, my thought I was going to save until the end, but this also is just not to be political by any means. Just strict, what I am seeing is parallels with the military.
Oh, yeah.
This is just how he would check out. Like, he would go kill, then he would go and eat dinner with his family, and that was just never on it. Like, it's
the compartmentalization.
And he's just a pawn for a bigger organization and carrying out these, and he has no feelings. Like, he's not doing it because it's fun. He's doing it because it's an order.
Yeah.
And then
but the
stress of it is very much.
But he also does say that he didn't like that when he would see people being tortured, he didn't like it or enjoy it, but that he just followed orders because that was his job. Yeah. And not to mention, I am sure and it sounds like he was very, very good at his job, but there's no way you're not a little bit crazy also, because all day they're just doing cocaine and drinking hard liquor. So
how is your nostrils, like, still intact?
You have to be, even if he may not be consciously aware that he is, he's clearly, like, numbing himself to the reality of what is happening.
Oof.
As is everyone.
Also, his talking of the eyes doing one thing and then his mind doing and then coming together is giving, like, split personalities.
Oh, like disassociating. Yeah.
Not saying that, but, like, parallel to that.
Yeah.
To where he is, like, coping somehow. He has to. Do I know of the death houses? He asks. It would take a book to do the death houses. After all, I know where 600 bodies are buried in safe houses in Juárez. There is one death house they have never revealed that I know has 56 bodies. Just as there is a rancho where the officials say they found 2 bodies, but I know that rancho has 32 corpses. If the police really investigated, they would find bodies. But obviously, you cannot trust the police. He especially wants to know what I know about the 2 death houses uncovered last winter. I say one had 9 bodies, the other 36. No, he insists. The second one had 38. 2 of them women. He carefully draws me the layout of the second death house. One of the women, he notes, was killed for speaking too much. The other was a mistake. These do happen, though the bosses never admit to it. But he keeps returning to the death house with the 38 bodies. It has memories for him. I remember standing on the quiet dirt streets as the authorities made a show of digging up the dead. Half a mile away was a hospital where some machine-gunned people were taken that spring, but the killers followed and killed them in the emergency room. Shot their kinfolk in the waiting room also. I wonder what those healthcare workers got for, like, Nurses Appreciation Week and stuff. The narcos, he wants me to understand, have informants in the DEA and the FBI. They work until they are useless. Then they are killed. As for those who inform to the FBI and DEA, they, quote, die ugly, he explains.
Oh, God.
They were brought handcuffed behind the back to the death house where they found 36 bodies, he rolls on. A t-shirt was soaked with gasoline and put on their backs, lit, and then after a while pulled from their backs. The skin came off with it. Both men made sounds like cattle being killed. They were injected with a drug so they would not lose consciousness. Then they put alcohol on their testicles and lit them. They jumped so high. They were handcuffed, and still I never saw people jump so high. We are slippy now. All the masks have fallen to the floor. The veteran, the professional Sicario, is walking me through a key assignment he completed. Their backs were like leather and did not bleed. They put plastic bags on their heads to smother them and then revived them with alcohol under their noses.
My God.
All they ever said to us was, "We will see you in hell." This went on for 3 days. They smelled terrible because of the burns. They brought in a doctor to keep reviving them.
Oh, my God.
They wanted them to live one more day. After a while, they defecated blood. They shoved broomsticks up their asses.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The second day, a person came and told them, "I warned you this was going to happen." They said, "Kill us." The guys lived 3 days. The doctor kept injecting them to keep them alive, and he had to work hard. Eventually, they died of torture. They never asked God for help. They kept saying, "We will see you in hell." I buried them with their faces down and poured on a whole lot of lime. He is excited. It is all back. He can feel the shovel in his hand.
Oh, my God. So the moral of what we just read is, if you work for the cartel, do not snitch to the DEA or the FBI.
Also, just don't expect, severance pay and care package when you decide to leave.
Or maybe do that thing that they would do in, the World Wars where they give soldiers a cyanide pill to put in,
I want to, you know what?
in their molar.
Oh
But
my gosh.
I think that might have actually been the most fucked up paragraph we've ever read, outside of Pee Wee Gaskins' episode.
At least that.
Ugh.
Genevieve, I'm hands down the worst blind read we've ever read.
Yeah.
But it continues.
It continues. He is calm now. He is revisiting this evil time, he says, simply for my benefit. He takes his various drawings, how to do a hit, where some people were buried in a death house, looks at the green schematics he has created, and then slowly tears them into little squares until the torn heap can never be reconstructed. And I just want to take a sec to point out that he's one of the ones doing this to people. Doing the torture, is he not? Because he says that he kidnapped, killed, and tortured. So
he remembers the shovel in his hand.
Yeah, apparently excitedly remembered. Until late 2006, he worked all over Mexico for different groups, and the various organizations generally got along. There were small moments, such as when others tried to take over Juárez, and it was necessary to necklace them. We read about that earlier. But his life in the main was calm. So calm, he did not need to know who he really worked for. I received orders from 2 people. They ran me. I never knew which cartel I worked for. Now there is Vicente Carrillo against Chapo Guzman. That is Joaquin Guzman Loera, head of Mexico's largest cartel. But I never met any bosses, so when the war started around 2006, I did not know which one I did the killing for.
Is this like the war on drugs or like
Um,
I'm not inclined
no,
to the Mexican wars.
no, I think I'm not sure which one it's talking about, but
Okay.
I know it's between like cartels.
Okay.
Largely. And orders could cross from one group to another. I am living in a cell and I simply take orders. In 30 minutes in Juárez, 60 well-trained and heavily armed men can assemble in 30 cars and circulate as a show of force. Then, at my level, we begin to get orders to kill each other. He is kidnapped but let go after an hour. This unsettles him and he begins to think about escaping his life. But that is not a simple matter since if you leave, you are murdered. As the war escalates, he begins to distance himself from people he knows and works with. He tries to fade away. By this time, a third of the people he knows have been killed. They were seen as useless and then killed. He doesn't know the boss. He is still not even sure who his boss is. He drinks at home. The streets are too dangerous. New people arrive and he does not know them. He is not safe. So he flees. He confides in a friend who betrays him. He pauses at this point. He knows he is guilty of a fatal error. He has violated a fundamental rule. You can be betrayed only by someone you trust. So you survive by trusting no one. Still, there is this shred of humanity in all of us, and in the end we feel the need to trust someone, to call someone friend, to share feelings with others. And this need is fatal. It is the very need he has exploited for years, the need he used when he put people in the police car and told them they would be all right if they cooperated, would be back with their families in no time if they were calm. And by God, did they trust him and rode across Mexico, went through checkpoints and said nothing, never told a single soul they had been kidnapped. They would trust him as they were tortured in safe houses. They would help mop the floors, clean up the vomit and blood. They would compose songs. They would trust him right up to the instant when he strangled them. So his friend gives him up. He is taken at 10 p.m., and this time he is held until 3 a.m. But something has changed within him, and some things have not changed. 4 men take him to a safe house. They remove all of his clothing but his shorts. They take pool balls in their hands and beat him. But he can tell they are amateurs. They do not even handcuff him, and this is disturbing to him. He is the captive of third raiders. As they beat him, he prays and prays and prays. He also laughs because he is appalled by their incompetence. They have not bound him, and their blows do not disable him. He sizes them up, and in his mind plans how he will kill them. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And at the same moment, he is praying to God to help him so that he will not kill them, so that he can stop his life of murder. As he sits in the room, sipping coffee and recalling this moment, his face comes alive. He is passionate now. He is approaching the very moment of his salvation. Some people pretend to accept Christ, he says, but at that moment he could feel total acceptance fill his body. He could feel peace. They point rifles at him. He cannot stop laughing. Baby boy, I think you're having a psychotic break. That's just my guess. Not the Holy Ghost filling you up. So, I was afraid, he explains. I realized I would have to kill them all. 2 of the armed men left. One other guy went to the bathroom. He looks at the remaining captor. The guy says, I don't have a problem with you. Once you told me to be careful or they would kill me. You did me a favor. So, I am praying to God, help me. I do not want to kill these people, and I know I can do it rapidly. The guy turns his back on me and says, "Get out, go." He opens the door and runs without his shoes or clothes.
His face is stern now. He has come to the place, the very moment that has permitted him to recount the kidnappings, the tortures, the killings. He is selling, and what he is selling is God. He is believing, and what he believes based on his own life is that anyone can be redeemed, and that it is possible to leave the organization and survive. His thoughts are a jumble as he speaks. He is telling of his salvation, and yet he feels the tug of his killings. He feels the pride in being feared. Back at the beginning, when he first started with the state police, that was when Oropeza, the doctor and newspaper columnist, was killed. And Oropeza's killers, he now recalls, were his mentors, his teachers. He remembered that after the murder, the state government announced a big investigation to get the killers. And one of them, a fellow cop, stayed at his own police station until the noise quieted and the charade ended. He is excited now. He is living in his past. The only reason I am here is God saved me. I repented. After all these years, I am talking to you. I am having to relive things that are dead to me. I don't want to be part of this life. I don't want to know the news. You must write this so that others, Sicarios, know it is possible to leave. They must know God can help them. They are not monsters. They have been trained like special forces in the army, but they never realize they have been trained to serve the devil. Imagine being 19 and being able to call up a plane. I liked the power. I never realized until God talked to me that I could get out. Still, when God frees me, I remain a wolf. I can't become a lamb. I remain a terrible person, but now I have God on my side. He stares at me as I write in a black notebook. His body seems to loom over the table. This is the point in all stories where everyone discovers who they really are. He says, I have now relived something I should never have opened up. Are you the medium to reach others? I prayed to God asking what I should do, and you are the answer. You are going to write this story because God has a purpose in you writing this story. God has given you this mission. No one will understand the story except those who have been in the life, and God will tell you how to write this story. Then we embrace and pray. I can feel his hand on my shoulder probing, seeking the power of the Lord in me. I have my work to do now. And so we go our separate ways. In the parking lot, he moves with ease, in a state of grace. The sun blazes, the sky aches blue. Life feels good. His eyes relax, and he laughs. And then I see him memorize my license plate in a quick and practiced glance. He has told me he is bathed in the blood of the lamb, but his eyes remain those of the wolf.
Wow. I love that last line. He told me he is bathed in the blood of the lamb, but his eyes remain those of the wolf. As he was going through all of that stuff about God and God wants you to write this story and blah, 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 blah. It's great for him that he made the decision to get out of that life. Could we talk about how maybe it had something to do with the fact that he's aging and maybe wouldn't be as great at his job anymore? And,
Or his point of revelation was him being the one,
yeah.
like with the barrel of a gun in his face.
Yeah.
He didn't like it when what he did to others was happening to himself.
Yeah. And I do want to be very careful because as it's very easy, and I would hear this done a lot when I would hear people give testimonies in evangelical spaces about how they were these absolutely horrific people who were abusers, of women, had committed a horrible crime, maybe they they murdered somebody, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking about like malice of forethought, pre-planned, like criminal action, not you made some stupid decisions when you were drunk and accidentally hit a dog with your car.
Yeah.
Like
You had
this,
thought after thought and like went
yeah,
through with it.
yeah. And this is something where there's very much a pattern of men and women, but particularly men who find themselves like, oh, I've actually horrifically ended an incredible amount of human life. They get this moment when they're faced very heavily with their own mortality, whether it be the tables are turned on them or they're aging or whatever, or their freedom is taken away. Think about Jeffrey Dahmer when he was in prison. A lot of people when they were in prison, serial killers, BTK does. I want to say that Ted Bundy does, that they turn their lives over to God and say that they've been forgiven or blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to dismiss someone's genuine, like, what I did was wrong, and I grieve that, and I basically like accept whatever my punishment is. That's one conversation. But there's a whole nother conversation where what I don't agree with is where people use God and Jesus or religion as a lane to be accepted, to basically like make everything that they've done okay. Because then they'll be like, well, there's some kind of bigger purpose in it, that I'm okay now because I've been forgiven. And I don't know, it just, something about it feels very icky to me, and I can't quite vocalize exactly what I mean. There's people way smarter than me who can explain it better, but it's not him trying to cop out and make excuses for if he does it to be like, to kind of lure the author into a place of complacency so that he could like do it again. But I really think that it's him trying to be like, well, I've done this absolutely horrible stuff, but in this lane of saying, oh, now I believe in God. God has forgiven me for all of this bad stuff, and now I can be a good person. But like Mark Bowden so wisely says, he's told me he's bathed in the blood of the lamb, but his eyes remain those of the wolf. So it's so incredibly arrogant to say, like, God basically found me and I believe in him now, and now I met you so you can write this story to save other Sicarios. Where was God when you were killing all those and torturing all those other people and like tearing families apart and ending bloodlines? Like, I guarantee you those men were crying out to God. They weren't saved. So like, it's just hard for me to get behind that type of redemptive arc. But
yeah,
I don't know. That's just my cynicism coming out.
The way that I've learned to cope with the bad in the world is people who blame God for the acts of men. Like we have, so we have free reign for a reason, and we are the evil.
No,
like it's
free
like,
will,
like you took that choice to do bad. So yes, you can in the end ask for forgiveness, whatever. I agree with your line of thinking.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not fair to use your free reign to do all that evil and then just have it wiped away. Like, that's where it's, I don't know. I didn't like reading what I had to read.
No, I didn't like hearing it. But I do want to understand a portion that he didn't give us, which was there was very little as to why he got into it other than just money, you know?
Like it was a way of living.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and it's
in a sense, he went to school, he was educated. And he went to the police academy.
Yeah.
It was corrupted. Like he really...
It's just a way of living that's so dark and depraved that if you are someone who considers yourself to be an empathetic person who doesn't like your job, I don't believe that. I think he liked what he was doing. I think he liked being good at it. I think he liked the fear he instilled in people.
He at least liked being good at the job he was
Yeah.
given. And he said on multiple accounts, once the family drained
Yeah.
all their money, the person had no worth. Like,
Yeah.
the person was a product.
Yeah.
Had no value.
Exactly. That the human beings were literally just like objects, inanimate objects for bringing in a cash flow. And
And it doesn't even benefit you. You're doing it for somebody else. And you're doing it like that person is getting.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason you're truly doing it is because if you didn't do
Yeah.
it, you would be dead.
Yeah, like you're
Like-
then gridlocked into a kill or be killed system. And you've been slowly brought into it to past the point of no return, which is
But,
now
like,
where he's
think
just
of how many other different cultures or like lines of government have that same system.
oh
And they
Yeah.
gridlock people. Or like predators grooming children. Like and they
Mhm.
get stuck in a pattern. Or
yeah.
drug abusers. They get fed all this stuff, just stuck. Everything they go to, they're stuck in it.
Yeah. You're so right.
Ugh.
Also, I have to give props to this journalist. I don't know anything about him other than he's written these 3 incredible articles that we've written, but the frickin' balls you have to go and sit in a room with this person and get this kind of story, never in a million years. I am the person who will sit in this comfy podcast lab and read what you have written, sir, and never, ever, ever put myself in that situation. So for that, thank you, Charles Bowden. Just wow.
Honestly, journalists are true, like, adrenaline junkies.
Honestly. And like the real ones, the ones that aren't just bullshitting for
Like, they're
no
going.
reason. Yeah, this guy is a real one. So, whew. I think we need to do a quick blowing up a skirt because that was quite heavy.
Oh, that we got to see Project Hail Mary. I think we mentioned it the last episode, so
We
we've
did.
now actually saw it.
Yeah.
And I genuinely loved that movie.
It was so good.
Like, I went in with zero expectations, and
Mhm.
Genevieve, like, this is a movie I think I would play at home. Like, it's a... there's movies that are good and you wouldn't rewatch,
Mhm.
and there's movies that you would play at home and, like, watch and or, like, listen to the back. I would
Yeah.
actually sit down and rewatch
that
this
is just in
movie.
your rotation.
I
agree.
really liked it.
I have been seeing a lot more stuff in my feed now that we've been to see it because my phone knows everything. But I keep seeing a bunch of stuff that people are calling it a true modern sci-fi classic. Like that it's going to go down as like it's going to rise above and be up there with like the classics of sci-fi. And I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it truly was fantastic beginning to end.
I was sucked in.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys want a really freaking good theater
Mhm.
experience, even if you don't care that much about sci-fi, it's just such a
I
good
mean,
story.
we saw it at our local theater.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very small theater. Like,
Mhm.
the screen is not big by any means. It
Yeah.
was, like, higher than I would have wanted. We were in uncomfortable chairs. And it was, like, the experience was still 10 out of 10.
It really was so good. And it was funny.
I laughed. I cried. I gripped Jacob's arm out of anxiety and fear. Like,
And it's also weirdly, don't quote me on this, but going through it, I was like, honestly, I would let my kids watch this. Like it was,
yeah.
there was intense like peril situations, but it was very like family friendly in a way that you'd let your kids watch maybe the old Star Wars movies. Like it had that kind of vibe to it.
Did you know when I was like looking it up, because in it, like there's voices for one of the characters, he was picking a voice for it, and when I was like, that's Laszlo from
Matthew Berry, yeah.
Yeah, and it was him. And so I was looking at the cast. The girl astronaut is the T-Mobile girl.
Okay, Josh leaned over and said that to me during the movie. He was like, is that the T-Mobile girl? And I was like,
Does he only know that's the T-Mobile girl because she has giant tits?
Probably.
But I was like, what?
That's so
What?
funny. I'll have to tell him he was right.
Yeah,
Because I was
yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't watch regular TV, so I
Mm-mm.
don't get those commercials, but he watches a lot of YouTube, so he probably gets like T-Mobile ads.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
But yeah, no, I genuinely, like, I already recommended it to my sister.
Oh, good.
And she was like, oh, actually, I downloaded, I have the audiobook because I heard it's like #1. And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
only 20 minutes in. I was like, watch them. Like, I love a book more than a movie, but I was like, Madison, watch the movie. Like, go watch the movie.
Yes.
And like I said, I've already added Rocky into my, like, notes of pet names.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. If you can go into it blind, that's the best. Like, don't
Yeah.
read shit about
Like,
it.
no
Don't,
expectations.
yeah, unless you've already read the book, obviously.
yeah.
But yeah, don't read spoilers for yourself. Just go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Movies up next on the docket for us. Caitlin and I are determined that we're gonna watch Wuthering Heights.
We're gonna do it. I don't need any slander, okay? I've never read the book. I haven't seen any originals. I don't give a shit what y'all think. I want to see it.
Just want to see Jacob Elordi pick up Margot Robbie with one arm and throw her against a tree. That's what we want to see. And by all accounts, this movie delivers. So Caitlin and I are going to be doing our own sips and splatters tonight, where we paint one another and watch
We'll have
Wuthering
to
Heights.
show that. We'll have to show our end creations.
We will.
But yeah, would you say that's your own?
Yeah.
Blowing up your skirt?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was
I'm
very...
so glad we were able to segue into a laugh.
Me too.
Oof.
Yeah, don't get involved in the cartels, people.
Yeah.
But respect to people who are in there.
Yeah, I
we
have no
shade.
actual opinions if anybody of the cartel is
Yeah, we
listening.
have no beef with
I
any
am
of you.
very unimportant, but I am very, very, very valuable to my children and my husband.
Yeah.
So,
I'm disabled.
oh,
Man.
well, as you guys clearly know, the
Yeah.
world is a very scary place. So always remember to have courage and stay kind.
Of a bitch.
Bye.